Hello everyone, and welcome to me watching a video while playing Resident Evil 4 remake. I wanted something like actually fun, so that's what we're doing. Um, yeah, we're watching a Mentiswave video, just because it's something interesting. Um, I've always been against Trump derangement syndrome anyway. Um, a lot of people might be like, "What?" The way I act sometimes on my videos. Yeah, my character is that I'm fucking mentally ill because I had a fucking unhinged drunk maniac fuck me in the ass when I was 5 years old. I have an excuse to be a fucking loser. A lot of these people don't, which is what annoys me about Trump derangement syndrome. Like, hey, I have an excuse to have thoughts that fuck fuck with me all the time, right? And my thing is, I don't use YouTube as like a way to educate people or anything anyway. I use it as a way to express myself. I don't care if I fucking make money. I don't even expect ever to, right? I express my thoughts and feelings, and if people like them or not, who cares, right? Um, so my thing with like Mentiswave is I just feel like his obsession with politics is dumb. He's politically very intelligent, right? But like the problem is like he's like not really intelligent and really anything that actually matters that's useful. Like learning in politics, it's like okay, but like your use is kind of minimal, right? Like it's not really that expansive, but regardless, I mean the TDS is kind of retarded too. So hey, he's on an even playing field. They're two sub Haitian IQs going at it. Really, all politics is sub Haitian IQ, though. To be fair, so you know. Let's go with the Trump derangement syndrome thing. We'll start with
Sale on my merch store. I'm putting all the taxation is theft gear on a temporary limited time sale, and this allows you to both support my channel and trigger the commies at the same time. And this includes a brand new large size mug. So yeah, a link to all this will be in the description below. Anyways, hey internets, so you may have heard of something known as Trump derangement syndrome, because unless you've been living under a rock since the last week, you may have noticed that Trump has actually been inaugurated and he is, in fact, the official president now. Which, aside from that meaning that he's just signed a bunch of executive orders that undid a lot of what the Biden presidency did, and all the other things that have been happening recently, what it really means is that we are about to see a lot more TDS than we normally see. I imagine much of mainstream journalists will return to a state of TDS. I imagine that a lot of what BreadTube's content will look like will just be 4 years of TDS. Basically, we're gonna see a lot of TDS.
Like they didn't really leave TDS that much. They kind of still had TDS
quest done and dusted,
for
eh?
like quite a while.
Nice work. I got something new for
Like
you.
obviously,
Thank you.
there are like things where it
Got
died
a
down or
selection
whatever,
of
but
good things on
it never
Goodness
really
New.
like died down and
Give that the care it deserves, mate.
okay.
See how that feels, mate.
Okay,
Fella like yourself should know comp.
so I'm just like upgrading weapons and stuff obviously right now. So oh wait, no, I want yellow, yellow, right? Sweet. This would be purple and purple. Yeah.
Back. Welcome. Got some rare things on. Thank you.
Anyway, like my point really.
We're starting to get an idea of your
But, like,
tastes, friend.
for me,
Dazzled,
I didn't even
are you?
really like see that point
Our
in, like, a lot
craftsmanship
of
demands no less.
like
Anything else I can help you with?
I get that. Right? Just don't
All
have
kinds of trinkets in this clown's castle. Ain't doing it. Don't get yourself welcome.
this,
I got something new for you.
yeah, I got max health. I don't need this no more.
I'll buy almost. Thank you. Pleasant travel.
I just wanted to have like a full mag on that, to be honest. That's another thing. Like I need to get that upgraded, that, you know, like that's the thing. Like this is all just I have like everything.
Welcome. I've got something. Suit yourself.
So, handgun ammo. Get a bunch of handgun ammo.
Oh, stranger.
Rifle ammo, there we go. Alright. But anyway, like, Trump derangement syndrome is just, like, I have wild takes, right? But I'm like, look, I get that there's a bunch of shitty things that Resident Evil do, and maybe like the focus is shitty.
We've got company.
But like, I feel like the people who wanna,
quietly.
like, they just want him to be a Nazi for some reason. Instead of like, hey, maybe he's just an asshole. So yeah, let's
And a lot of people talking about TDS. And the issue with that is that a lot of people talk about TDS or show signs of TDS with nobody knowing what TDS actually is. And that's what this video is going to remedy. I'm going to help everybody out in understanding the next 4 years of political discourse by going over what the diagnostic criteria for Trump derangement syndrome are and how the disease actually presents itself. Because a lot of people may know how to spot TDS on the surface, but not really fully understand just what exactly is going on inside these people's heads. Because it's actually kind of interesting. It's not just funny, it's actually quite fascinating how the rusty cogwheels in these people's brains churns, and the absurd lengths that they will go to accidentally humiliate themselves. But also, aside from being kind of funny, it's important to be able to spot Trump derangement syndrome in the wild, because it's also a way to detect bad takes. So knowing how to spot TDS can also save you a lot of time, because it lets you know which journalists out there aren't really worth paying any attention to, as they have unfortunately come down with this very horrible disease that tends to cause people to completely lose their minds. So first off, what exactly is Trump derangement syndrome? What exactly can we consider the diagnostic criteria for it? And what about it specifically differentiates itself from simply disliking Donald Trump? Well, the first and most important component is bad faith. This is the main symptom of TDS required for a diagnosis. When someone has TDS, everything that Donald Trump says or does is interpreted by them in the most utterly insane and unhinged bad faith light imaginable. Whenever somebody says or does something, it can always be interpreted in many different ways. For example, if someone says the phrase, "I hate waffles," there are many ways to interpret that. The realistic and most likely interpretation is that they just don't like to eat waffles. But it's also possible for someone to analyze that statement further and extrapolate a lot of things from it that may or may not make a whole lot of sense. For example, a bad faith interpretation of it is that when they say, "I hate waffles," what they really mean is that they hate Waffle House. And then they may commit a further leap in logic, where they assert that because they hate Waffle House, they then go by the association of it with African American culture to say that they must be racist against black people, all from the statement, "I hate waffles." That would be an example of an insane bad faith leap in logic. It doesn't really make much sense. It's very unlikely that someone who says they hate waffles is racist against black people. It is extremely and ridiculously unlikely that that is the case. But it doesn't matter, because if a person is willing to be bad faith and intentionally interpret words in bad faith, they can absolutely draw those conclusions by virtue of the fact that they can argue it. Of course, the arguments don't necessarily need to make sense. In fact, they're usually fallacious and usually nonsensical. And going back to Trump derangement syndrome, that's what it really means by bad faith interpretations. Insane, unhinged bad faith interpretations of everything Trump says and does, rather than trying to understand what Trump is.
Like that's really like the thing, right? Like, if you believe that there is an honest soul on Twitter, you need to fucking get checked into a mental asylum, right? And that was always the case, right? But like the left, you know, you'd have like people like Mark Hamill and shit fall for it. Now you have, you know, Mark Kern is literally, so like the thing about like that's funny, So I think like part of the reason why like Trump derangement syndrome has gotten so fucking potent now is that like you've got people like Mark Kern who are literally doing the saying the things that people expect from a Trump derangement syndrome person, but in the affirmative. In reality, Mark Kern is like literally doing nothing of value. You know, like he needs to make his fucking game. Like that's my thing, right? Like I'm like, you know what? You just like said to LeBron James, shut up and make your fucking game. Shut up and game develop, Mark Kern, right? So that's my like little bit of a thing to that, right? Like shut up and make his game develop, Mark Kern. Right? And like people will say, well, that's mean and that's insulting. Yeah. You know what? It was mean and insulting to LeBron James too. And guess what? He deserved it. He deserved it too. Look, if you're having like unhinged political takes, right? And like you are trying to like force people to like bow to your whims, and it's just the most like dog shit political take ever, right? Yeah, I'm gonna like I think it should be called out, and I feel like that's the thing. Like Elon Musk, I feel like is just mildly annoying at worst, right? Like I do feel like it was but it was a troll, right? I do feel like people pretending that like it's not a real Nazi salute are stupid. Like no, legitimately. You can say he was trolling, which is, you know, the most likely case. You can call it out, like, even if it's trolling, you can say, hey, look, that's just not funny, bro. Like, you know, got all the, got fucking incentives and all that shit on, you know, on, like, you bring back McDonald's, you know, and do that as soon as you get in, like, a somewhat position of power. You know, like, that's just not funny, because, like, you know, it's, like, kind of, you know, kind of disturbing, right? You can say that, right? But he's not a Nazi. He is making fun of the left. It's just, sometimes making fun of the left, you need to have, like, you need to do more than that to be funny to me, you know? Like, you know how easy it is to make fun of the left? I'm going to draw a picture of a white piece of paper. Like, alright, like, this is the least offensive article you could ever have, right? So like, no one can possibly get, oh, someone got offended by it, right? So, like, for me, like, that's, like, if the group is that easy to piss off, like, if that's your only form of comedy, just fuck, right? Because if me existing as, like, a somewhat conservative trans woman, I kind of like disprove the narrative that the whole I guess like the far right wants to have as well, but like anyone normal is like, wait, you kind of just disproved like all the fucking cronies narratives just by existing. What the fuck? And you're like, yeah, I do, right? Just by not being like a fucking Tefl poof or something. You know, where I'm like, oh yeah, let's support pedophilia and shit. Yeah. Just by not doing
I don't know what they had to
Just by that. Ah, and I didn't say fuck. Alright, fuck. Alright, let's continue. Let's continue watching this, but be sad that I died to a chainsaw woman.
Is actually saying or actually trying to do, or what he really means. Person who suffers from TDS will always engage in the most bizarre leaps of logic in order to find the most unhinged interpretation of what Trump has done. And the best way to understand this is by looking at some examples. A recent one being this interesting little take about how Trump is going to have the US military invade and annex Greenland. Various bread tubers were saying it, so for instance counterpoints, thank God Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate prepared Gen Z alpha males to die in battle for the annexation of Greenland. Or this guy, Dean Withers, FYI, Trump literally said he might invade Greenland. And it's not just some weirdos on Twitter. It also, strangely enough, appeared in the mainstream media, NBC News. Trump suggests he could use military force to acquire Panama Canal and Greenland and economic force to annex Canada. And yet, when you look at the actual conversation, it quickly reveals itself to be a steaming load. What Trump actually stated is that he wants the United States to purchase Greenland. And then someone asked him if he would rule out the military. And the thing is, Trump being Trump, he of course didn't rule it out because Trump doesn't rule anything out. This has been a consistent thing with Trump, a silly thing with Trump, and kind of a dumb thing with Trump, because it's something that tends to bait people a lot. But when you ask Trump if he would rule something out, he usually doesn't say that he'll rule it out. And knowing that, it becomes very, very unlikely that we're actually going to see a military operation from the United States invading and annexing Greenland. The reasonable interpretation is that Trump will most likely just try to purchase it from Denmark, which later when Trump actually talked on the phone with them, we found out that's exactly what he really wants to do. There's not going to be a military invasion to steal Greenland by force. That's ridiculous. That's obviously not going to happen. It's pretty obvious that Trump is just puffing up a marketing ploy to, you know, try and buy it. And when you take a step back and just try to exist in reality for a moment, it's pretty obvious that that's the case. And journalists have kind of gone back on this and asked Trump to clarify again by asking him simple loaded questions such as, would you rule out military or economic coercion? Which of course Trump won't rule out, especially since they said military or economic, which actually includes a lot of things to rule out. But then journalists report it as only saying that he didn't rule out the military. They conveniently leave out the part of the conversation where they were also having an either or factor in there in regards to economic methods. And this is where we can kind of identify one of the main causes of TDS, which is mainstream media sensationalism. Whenever Trump says something that can be interpreted in a weird...
You see, like, my posts on things, like, I will literally be like, yo, this bitch is like the similar content on this guy. One of the things they said was, because like she's trying to do like the whole Gamergate with
Welcome.
like, a bunch of racist
I've
things,
got something new for you, mate.
I literally pulled out because I have a fucking, I have like the ultimate fucking source for this. John Bain, right? John Bain, of course, is a
Thank you. Anything else I can help
you
you
know,
with?
is a famous YouTuber, right?
I'll buy
Kind of,
almost
you know, kind
anything.
of called the Kotaku grift out
Pleasure
for
doing
anyone else,
business with you.
right? And like that's the thing. Like my thing of like why I'm critical of like
Come back.
the
Welcome.
Gamergate crowd, really, it has nothing to
Hard times.
do with like me hating like the like Gamergate itself. It's so. So like the thing is, right, effectively Gamergate is just fucking like it's just a silly movement effectively, right? So
We've got company.
like legitimately
Quietly. Got it.
the movement never had any peaceful power, right?
Correr, pero no os podéis esconder. ¿Dónde estáis?
Guess we're doing this.
Anyway, like I'm talking about voters, right? I'm talking about like the standard vote. So you have like obviously.
Leon, watch out! ¡Detrás de vosotros, imbéciles!
I think like Dave should
They keep coming.
but he's open so he's honest about
Body armor's not looking great.
he does the same things they do. You know what the worst part about this? This has been like objectively for years, but I'll probably like make it fast. You know, like I always hate that with like this game. Like half the time it's like I have a fucking killer play like first one, and it's like and because it's professional, I go and then I end up getting like this shit, and then I end up making it, and I'm like, oh, fuck, because like this one's worse than I would have been if I just fucking won. Like the first one, you know, like that's like the story of my life. Like the original game. Not bad though. Then again, like, you don't really have like the go back chapters. Loser bullshit. Like legitimately, you can end up going back like 6 chapters. Well, actually 5, right? Because I'm like 6. I can go back to the first chapter potentially, right? So that's the thing with bullet in their eye, you know. You can legit just have like for professional, you can just legitimately just go back to the entire fucking thing. Come on.
Twisty son of a bitch.
Anyway, like the thing with like Mentiswave stuff though is like, what does Mentiswave fucking do, right? So like that's my criticism of it. Like other people's criticism of it, like mine is like, what has this guy done that is useful in his life, for his life, like outside of politics, right? Like here's the thing, right? Ultimately, politics is just a grift because it's, you know, a way to maintain relevance when you have nothing else going for you, right? Like if you can grift off of people worried about some political issue, right? Because that's really what it comes down to. Most people do not give a flying fuck about politics at all. Like it's not one side or the other. No, most people do not give a flying fuck. And like it's the same thing with like the quartering and stuff. Nah, it's a grift because who the fuck cares about that? You know, like legitimately, people will be like, oh, we botted this person's reviews, and so therefore, you know, stuff, right? But reality, no, gamers will just like an actual gamer boycott, right? Has the actual boycotters. I'll just be clear here. We'll have no style, right? They will not harass with negative reviews or anything like that. You know what they'll do? The real boycotters, you'll never hear a peep from them. You'll never even know that they're doing it. You know why? Because it's a boycott, right? Like you don't tell people you're boycotting something. You just tell like your buds and that's it, right? People hear of it later because the thing starts to suffer financially, right? Why would you tell people that you're organizing a boycott, which will allow them to organize a counter boycott, you know? And the answer is you don't. And so like that's like a good reason why like the political right just doesn't like it's better than the political left, but it's not really smart either. Like the smart thing is don't tell anyone, just do it. Right? And that's what most people do, right? I saw, you know what I did when I saw like Concord and the game looked like shit? That's what I did. I just did the exact same thing I was already doing, and not playing it because it, like, you know, not playing it, not talking about it, right? I didn't have to talk about it to just not play it. Why would I fucking, like, the game looked like ass. I knew it was gonna fail. Like, why would I expect that to, like, not fail, right? It looked like fucking dog shit. You know? If a game looks like shit, I'm just not gonna play it. I don't criticize something that looks like shit before I purchase it. I will just say, okay, this looks like ass. I'm doing the angry video game nerd review. I just acknowledge it looks shitty. That is like my review. It's like, right, like that. That's my full negative review of anything, Alright, throw another grenade.
Here you go. Finally. Look away.
And I am legit suffering because I'm just not wanting to do my fucking magnum rifle. Like, I am legit only suffering because I want to shotgun and pistol this shit. Let me do this the right way. Okay, let me just fix this bullshit.
This is real.
Let's go.
Hang on, let's continue with the
Weird way. Often the media will intentionally interpret it in that way just so that they can get a clickbait title out of it. Which is just another way of how the bad faith operates. A lot of times bad faith interpretations come from intentionally taking things out of context or leaving things out of the conversation in order to make it seem like their bad faith interpretation isn't as crazy as it actually is. And what's interesting is that this tends to come in stages. So for instance, stage 0 of Trump derangement syndrome would be simply disliking or hating Donald Trump. However, at this stage, TDS isn't really apparent. They aren't necessarily guaranteed to move on to stage 1. It's just the beginning requirement to get TDS. But then you reach stage 1 of TDS. That's where the bad faith arguments and bad faith interpretations start to come to a boil. The difference here being that someone at stage 0, aka someone who doesn't have TDS but could get TDS if they aren't careful, is that stage 1, once TDS is actually started, people begin to ignore reality. And I think the best way to see some stage 1 content is to go all the way back to 2016 and reread some journalist takes about why Donald Trump was definitely certainly not going to win. There was an interesting kind of journo obsession at the time, kind of trip over themselves in a competition of one-upping each other on how the latest silly thing Trump did means that there's no way he can win the election. Or in some cases it just manifested as bad polling, like Bloomberg claiming that Clinton had a 12-point edge over Trump. And today it's easy to look back at that and laugh because of how obviously wrong they were. But on a serious note, it also shows you the kind of beginning stage of TDS. And that's kind of how the bad faith starts to manifest. You see that they are obsessed with Donald Trump, but they refuse to try and seriously understand where the man is coming from. There's no serious effort to understand Trump or understand his supporters. It's all fake, all surface level. There's no real attempt to understand the man anymore. Their dislike of Trump has overwritten their ability to understand Trump. That is the basic essence of where Trump derangement syndrome starts. And we saw a repeat of it recently. For example, this wonderful tweet from Destiny. Trump is the only candidate on stage who is called to suspend the Constitution. Oh my, did Trump actually want to do that? Such dangerous anti-American rhetoric. And then of course when you go and read what Donald Trump actually said, it reveals itself to not quite be that. It was just Donald Trump accusing the 2020 election of being fraud, something we all know that he said, and him saying that the rules and regulations getting in the way of that being investigated should be cut out. Interpreting that as completely and permanently suspending the Constitution is a very absurd bad faith way to look at it. The more realistic understanding is that Donald Trump wanted to cut all red tape in regards to investigating the 2020 election. And then going back further to examine this tweet from Destiny, why is he quoting Elon Musk about about Trump vetoing any national abortion ban. There's absolutely no relation to the post in the context, which means that this is also a pretty good example of where stage 2 of Trump derangement syndrome is leading to, which is that people suffering from TDS for a long enough period of time start to show signs of manic obsession. Not only is everything Trump doing and saying interpreted in bizarre bad faith manners, but they also feel the need to bring it up in random cases and random contexts where what they're saying has absolutely nothing to do with the conversation at hand. And the stage of obsession is also where they start to begin this kind of single-minded focus on certain things about Trump they don't like. So for example, we can do a search on the Omni-Liberal.
Like a lot of like the far left, right? Because here's the thing, I am left, but I'm far left, right? So a lot of the problem with the far left.
Keep moving.
I mean, fully I'm not left, but depends on like who you ask. I'm either left or I'm right. In reality, I'm kind of just. I personally, like really, I say I have more left-wing takes, but I value my right-wing takes. Right? As in, like, I'd say value-wise conservative, right? If you like put them on like points in a scale, right? Because I'd argue that you know, a lot of my conservative takes have more weight than my left-wing takes, right? On like what they mean, right? As in, like, my left-wing takes are like, hey, look, I think trans people should have like basic human rights and stuff, right? I feel like someone, like, that's my thing. Like, my criticism of Trump is like a lot of the fucking language in his like anti-trans bill thing. It's like just Matt Walsh wrote it. Like it feels like just Matt Walsh wrote it, right? Nothing serious. And my real issue with Matt Walsh is that, you know, I call him like diaper boy all the time, right? That should kind of like, you know, like my reasons for like disliking.
All right.
I don't dislike, yeah, I don't dislike him for,
Guess we're doing this. Twisty son of a bitch. One down.
It's a funny thing, like, once you get the armor, like, it actually protects you a lot more than you either. I mean, that's kind of the point.
You hurt?
Right?
I'm good.
Hey.
Thanks.
Actually, protect health. You know, that seems like really more of, like, the logic once you get to another armor. Ashley, help! She rarely does in this game because she's always following you, so you can't, like, her like to like stay put in a place or like beat stages for her. You know, it like guys, and you can't like force her to be hit by enemies anymore. Which kind of sucks. Like that, to be honest, like the no longer having the stick. Go wait, right? Like wait. You gotta say it like wait. And like, you know, to be fair, like there's a reason like he says it in like that tone, obviously. Like the point is, you know, like they'll try to kidnap her and shit. You gotta be like, wait. Like if you don't wait, like they'll fucking capture you, actually. You know, so it's kinda cool. Alright, it's not what do you call it?
You're serious.
Surprised I fucking died before I did that. I could save here, right? I've been doing this. I could save here and then I just go back here. And like, hey, I wouldn't be bad if I went back here. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do that. Fuck it. Fuck it. There we go. Anyway, yeah, there. Now if I return over here, I don't have to do all that bullshit I did before. Let's go here.
About Trump January 6th, and we find post after post after post of him absolutely obsessing over trying to convince people that the January 6th Capitol riot was an unironic attempt to overthrow the United States government. And I mean, just look at all the posts about this. This is not healthy. Or for a mainstream media example, CNN. The basic summary of how Donald Trump was covered from the perspective of CNN can be seen as Orange Man bad, Orange Man very bad, Orange Man say bad thing, Orange Man do bad thing, over and over and over again, like it's the entire purpose of their network to say that Orange Man is bad and convince everybody that Orange Man is bad. You could almost be forgiven at points for forgetting that CNN is supposed to be a news network, because honestly for a while there it appeared as they have become the Orange Man bad network. Because the thing is, once people have reached this stage of Trump derangement syndrome, they need to confirm their bias even further, because bad faith, as it turns out, is really just a bias. Specifically, it's a part where they've reached confirmation bias. They start to believe so strongly that Donald Trump is the second coming of Bad Mustache Man that their bad faith interpretation of everything he does is then used to just further confirm their belief that Orange Man is literally Bad Mustache Man. And in order to convince themselves that they're not obsessed, they have to project that outwards. They have to make sure that they are convincing you as well that Orange Man is very, very bad. And so as kind of a way to deny that they have gone completely crazy at this point, they begin to obsessively take all of their bad faith takes on Donald Trump and then make sure they do everything they can to
said bad mustache man. No one says that. They say funny mustache man. I mean, I know they mean to say like he's bad. Like it's like kind of like a silly misnomer, like haha, he's just fun, right? But obviously it's meant like kind of as a critique too. But like you know it's funny mustache man. Come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do me like that. You know, don't do me like that. Like, genuinely get angry that you said bad mustache man. You used the wrong term. Man. Never change myself, you know? And that's one thing I gotta tell myself every day. Never change. Always be me. Don't be someone else. Don't be someone else, you know? Alright, fuck it. Kick up the fucking scope, though.
I am flattered, but I'm a one-lady type of guy. Finally.
Like really, like once these guys get in, what would they be spending before?
Present for you. Look away!
It's
an enemy in a video game, so it's not like it really matters. You know?
I'm good.
It's a little funny. But like that's my thing. Like, you know, eventually, like, I just get to the point where I don't really care about like people who like talk about culture war in general, because like, what does it do to me? You know? like ultimately,
Are you hurt?
like a good way to say it,
No,
right?
I'm okay.
I
I guess.
watch these channels
You did well back there.
and I feel like I'm more
Seems this
informed
isn't your first
on
time running from the creeps.
thing than everyone
I
else,
can't tell
right?
if that's meant to be a
'Cause,
compliment.
like, I don't feel like I'm smarter watching Mentiswave. I feel like, oh hey, this thing I already knew, right, was correct. It was kind of correct, but like I already knew it. So like, what did I learn, right? That I'm, not as dumb as I thought. I mean, I'm retarded, so clearly that's not the case. Like, I literally am retarded. So like, yeah, I can figure it out. I can figure out what smart people can't do. So, what does that do me any good? Like, that's my thing. Like, it does me no good to, like, actually about being like, like, that's my thing. Like, like, for me, it's like, okay, what does being right provide me as, like, what use is that to me? And, like, the answer is usually, oh, well, not really any. I'm like, okay, well, I have not really any reason to care. Right, let's continue this, though.
Convince everybody else to have the same bad faith interpretation. And so they talk about it endlessly, over and over and over. It's just Trump, 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 Trump. And from those of us on the outside looking in, we almost start to wonder if they actually secretly like Trump. And the answer is no, they don't secretly like Trump. They're just obsessed at that point. It's just a stage of Trump derangement syndrome. Because at this point, the cranial vent is free. They're constantly thinking about Donald Trump and constantly thinking about how they need to validate their feelings that Donald Trump is bad mustache man by convincing you that he is bad mustache man. And so it gets to a point where it's all they talk about, all they think about, until they have finally reached stage 3 of Trump derangement syndrome, which is just total, complete disconnection from reality, which is where they start having takes on Donald Trump based on things that Trump hasn't actually said at all. So now it's not only just bad faith interpretations of things Trump has done or said, but now they're having bad faith future interpretations of things that they think that Trump will do or say. And they begin to preemptively freak out about things that Trump hasn't actually done or said. And spoiler alert, Trump is actually not going to do these things. It exists entirely in their heads. This is where you start to get things like a few people in the LGBT community thinking that Trump is going to genocide them. No, seriously, their delusion that Trump is literally bad mustache man. Once a TDS sufferer has reached stage 3, they unironically, sincerely believe that they are going to be rounded up in the concentration camps any day now. There is, of course, no real objective evidence whatsoever that Trump is actually going to do this, and he's not going to do this. The LGBT Trumpian genocide is not going to be a thing. So in case there's any people who are LGBT listening in on this, do not worry, it's not happening. It's not going to happen. But to people, again, who are in stage 3, in the kind of disconnection from reality stage, they sincerely believe it, because at around stage 3, the bad faith interpretations of Trump then start leading them to other beliefs based on those bad faith interpretations. And so they start freaking out about things that they believe that Trump will do or will say. And so their bad faith interpretations of what Trump has said or done start applying to what they fear that Trump will do or
right, but like a lot of the whole transgender stuff. Like, you know what I worry about, right, with like the Trump shit? Because I have some legitimate fears, right? Like not many, but I have a couple, right? So one of them is that my girlfriend,
Listen,
love of my life,
you're
might
the one
end
he
up
wants.
potentially being
we see him again,
because
you run.
she's Hispanic.
What about you?
I'll do my job.
That like her family might be taking because she's Hispanic.
I've
And,
got some new
some of
items
her
in stock.
relatives aren't really
Come take a look.
But she is getting them done because here's the thing, right? The reason they aren't here legally, this is the dumbest shit, right? They have their visa, which normally should be legal citizenship, right?
I've got something new
like,
for
I mean,
you,
not necessarily citizenship, but like they're legally here,
A deal
right?
well struck.
And normally that would be the case, but the way Save works,
Give that
right,
the
there's
care it
nothing to do with Trump.
deserves. Dazzled,
But like
are
also
you?
like I do wish you
Come.
fucking fix this shit first. Like like hey, can you fix like the problems that like make it harder for people who immigrate legally before you start deporting people?
I'll
To be
buy
fair,
it
I think
at a
he
high
is.
price.
Like the
See how that
deportations
feels,
seem to be like
fella like yourself
not
should
anything
notice the
like that,
difference right away.
right? Like that you would think, right? They seem to be like, oh yeah, it's actually
Ruby's
like,
all rubbish.
the
It
dumb
makes
shit
no
that's- they
difference.
shouldn't be allowed
The
to do.
price, not
But,
bad. Came into some other bits
You know,
and
it
bobs
does
too, mate.
sort of seem like, hey, sometimes it kind of feels
You're-
like,
thank you.
and yeah, it's just feeling like, right? But something like, you know, the feelings
A
have
deal
legitimate
well
reasons to
struck.
exist, you know. But like when I say feels like, I don't mean I just
Not
get like
bad.
a little emotion in my head. I mean, like, come on, dude, just like, can you,
Welcome.
like fix it.
I got something new for you.
That's my thing. Like, can you fix this shit first? It's bad, right?
What's that?
Like, it
How
is
have we
demonstrably
procured these
horrid.
curiosities? An
So,
income back.
They're gonna have a green herb somewhere.
Anytime.
I'm sure, so. There's a red herb up here. Trying to do the 10k combos. Alright, so let's see here. What do we have? A bunch of flashbangs, so regardless, it's fine. Yeah. Anyway, let's go back to this. I want to actually finish this about the same time. And I won't, because it's 12 minutes. It's impossible.
Will say in the future. It's delusion compounded with a state of total fear and psychosis. And sadly, at stage 3, it's a fairly irreversible condition. There's really nothing you can tell these people to try and convince them that they're not going to be rounded up in the camps. Attempting to reason with them at this point doesn't work for the same reason attempting to reason with other people who have mental disorders that result in delusions doesn't work. For example, someone who suffers from schizophrenic delusions. Most mental health professionals will tell you that you should not judge or argue someone with schizophrenia who believes something like the pizza man is trying to poison him by working with the extraterrestrials to poison his pizza that has been delivered to him. If you live with somebody who suffers from paranoid schizophrenic delusions, you know that you're not actually supposed to invalidate those beliefs, even though they are obviously not true, because they've lost the ability to discern reality from the fiction inside their own mind. It doesn't really work anymore. And when you attempt to argue with someone who suffers from manic delusions, they will just come up with hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of justifications. And it doesn't matter how fallacious or obviously wrong those justifications are. The thing about justifications is that someone who's willing to justify a wrong belief with false justifications, they'll just come up with more false justifications. It doesn't matter. That's the thing about fallacious arguments, is that there's an unlimited number of wrong arguments. If you go by, say, 2 plus 2 equals 4, there's one right answer for 2 plus 2, it's 4. But when it comes to wrong answers, well, there's an infinite number of wrong answers for 2 plus 2. And that's why you cannot...
So, technically, 4 isn't the answer. 4 is what you're saying, right? There's infinite ways to say 4. 3 plus 1, 5 minus 1, 2 plus 2, 2 times 2, 2 to the power of 2, 2 tetrated to 2, 2 penetrated to 2. Like there's a lot of ways to say 4. There's probably more ways to say 4 than there are like most numbers, because like obviously most numbers don't have that like perfect relationship with 2 2s that you can just make up like an infinite variation of exponentiation. And they will always, as long as the base and exponent are 2, be 4, right? So, basically, if you have if you have 3 layers, it's called tetration, right? So 2 tetrated to 2 means like 2, right? Exponent 2 to the power of 2 done like 2 times, right? I mean, like, but 2 minus 1 times, right? So like, it's like you have it's like you take n as the exponent for the tetration, right? And then you basically do the number to the power of itself that many times, right? Minus 1, right? So like 2 to the power of 2, is 4, right? And then you have like, with tetration, it's 2 to the power of 2, right? 2 minus 1 times. So that's 4, right? Because 2 minus 1 is 1, and 2 to the power of 2, multiply that by 1, you get 4, right? It's only with 2 and 2, or 1 and 1, right? Because like 1 and 1, obviously it's going to do the same thing. Because 1 multiplied by itself, it doesn't matter. Or I guess 0 too, but like that's basically every like thing, right? Like outside of those, it's pretty much like every other number will just like massively increase. But like with 2 and 1, like it's gonna be the same fucking number. To be fair, 1 you can do it with anything. Like if the base is 1, it doesn't matter what the exponent is. It's just gonna be 1. It's like 1 to the power of like 1 times like, but then you have the tetrated to 1 trillion times. So like you do it like 1 to the power 1 trillion, it's still 1. You know, like it's like you can do that. I don't know why you would waste your fucking time just to say fucking 1. You already have the 1 there, asshole, right? But that's like the thing, right? It's a trick you can do with 2 and 2 and 4, or 1 and 1 and 1, right? Although with 2, it works with addition as well. You know, so like 2 has an extra 1, I guess, right? That like, because that's another thing, like addition and summation, like for 1 is 2, right? And then like everything else is 1. And then you have, but then like the only thing that isn't 4 is summation, but addition is just like iterative summation, and like that's really like, because summation is just iterating by 1, right? So like you add 1 to a number, that's summating or incrementing it, right? But then you have addition, which is, you know, summation just means incrementing. It's just a synonym for that, right? But then addition is like iterative summation. So like 2 plus 2, right? It was addition. So like summation, incrementing, another word for it is counting. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, like the things you did with your fingers in fucking pre-K. Like you didn't even go to real school for it, you know? Like that's what that is. So like that's the thing. The thing you learn about is that like there's just like all equations are it's just saying like the answer, I guess.
Guess your tap dancing days are over. Running out of options, huh?
I wanted him to do the 1 darkness flame.
Give my
That's also
regards
not what
to
he
your god.
said. Probably because I had him so fucking close to death before he even got to that. 'Cause, like normally, like when I normally do things like, so normally like when I play the game, especially on professional, it's on the first playthrough.
Fire's
So
bound to
like
catch their attention.
he goes through like,
keep
you know,
moving.
burn darkness flame is like one of the
Leon,
lines he'll say sometimes,
I'm not
right?
gonna turn into one of them.
But he
right?
didn't say that
I
time
won't
when
let
he
that
did
happen.
the thing, right?
I promise.
I feel like it's just because he was so whittled down in health. Like you saw that I took 1 more shot after I blew up his barrels and he died. So yeah. Look that out. Got the chaos emeralds. All right, let's token. Yeah, okay. I got the token character. Wait, no. Castle. All right. Let's
argue with these people. Once the delusion has reached a stage where they will accept invalid rationalizations to justify their delusions, they will just keep coming up with an unlimited number of rationalizations. And so back to people suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, you cannot talk them out of it once they've reached this stage. In fact, attempting to do so may just lead to them assuming that you are part of the conspiracy that aims to put them in camps. Which then leads us to another unfortunate symptom of Trump derangement syndrome, which is that people who suffer from TDS for usually longer than a few months or so will start to extend their TDS to people who support Donald Trump as well. So there's a very strong psychological projection element in TDS as well. Probably the most common leap in logic you've seen is Trump is literally bad mustache man, people voted for Trump, and so of course the logic flows in their mind that half of Americans must be Newtsies, and that the United States is therefore literally now
libertarian, right? cannot get me to trust anyone in government more than just like, okay, if you do what you say, you're cool, but like I don't trust you to do that.
Got some new wares, stranger.
If you did what you said, it would be cool, but that would also put you at a disadvantage to me.
I got something new
So I highly,
deal well
highly
struck.
fucking doubt that you'll actually go through with it, right?
Easy.
Because that's the real meat and potatoes of like why.
Give that the
libertarian
care it
politics
deserves. Sad to
doesn't
say, that's
really
the
pass.
will with it.
I'm be honest.
What can I do?
Why do you think it would? It would put you, as a government official,
My back
at
is
a
killing.
detriment of
Years
the
haven't
power
been
you
kind
have
to
currently,
us,
right?
Come
So like
back
you'd have to
any
be like a fucking moron to like do that, you know? And that's my thing. I don't think my enemies are retarded.
time. Welcome.
So like yeah, the government official will not make the government weak, like
Your
too
valuables
much weaker,
won't
right?
do
They
you
will
much
make it
good,
weaker
thank
on
you.
their
Pleasant
enemies,
travel.
and that's about it, right? And so if their enemies tend to be people that also put me at a disadvantage, that's good, right? But the idea that oh yeah, this fucking cannon, guys. But the idea that them being like at a disadvantage, I mean, like them like allowing themselves to just don't think that it'll happen. You know, it's like why? It makes no fucking sense. You know, like what does that benefit them? Like that I'll probably be more likely to vote for them. Okay. But the idea that like the enemy of my enemy can be my friend, like it's not really friend. I wouldn't say that, right? I wouldn't call Trump my friend. I might call him like a useful ally. Hey, you're removing power from people who, like, you know, a lot of the boomers who fucking basically took it before, like that's the real thing. The real haters you don't even realize. All these people who are critical of capitalism, I keep telling them whenever they like try to talk to me about it, I'm like, dog, you are not living in a capitalist society. You are criticizing socialism. Or maybe not socialism, maybe something else, but you are not criticizing capitalism. Usually corporatism, which is a form of socialism. And this is the thing, that they have this like, but like socialism is giving workers the means of production back. Like, you have that in capitalism. Like, if I purchase, right, because I have the right to purchase it, right, because it's capitalism. If I purchase a thing from my job under capitalism because copyright is abolished in like proper capitalism and stuff, you can do it, just so you know. Because of that, right? Like because like that is like a required thing, right? For like every capitalism to function. You know, because of that, just because of that by itself, right? Fucking die, please.
One down.
You know what? I'll just use this because like, scope up. Really just to. That is my thing. Like I'm not a gun slinger gamer, so I can't really do the fucking pixel perfect shots. I need a few pixels. You know?
All right.
I know this is also not how a fucking scope works in real life, you know? But like my thing is, I'm not wanting to do like calculus and like where the bullet will go. Like completely fucking dumb, you know? Give me that, you know? Like this is a video game. I hate when like video games like rely on aim zone. This one does too, right? But like it doesn't for everything. Like the sniper rifle, right? Works without it. And so, and like so does the laser sight weapons, like the killer 7 and stuff, right? So yeah, sure, it's not realistic. That's not how even a fucking laser sight works, you know. Like it works kind of off the recoil, I guess, but you know. And like I guess like you know this is like hey if you have an actual gun this is something that happens. Like, yeah, like I'm playing a video game. I want fantasy. Like, I feel like it depends on like the plot involves like the conspiracy of like which isn't actually that unrealistic. It's just, you know, it's supposed to be unrealistic. It's trying to be unrealistic, but the sad part is the reality is it wants to be. But it's supposed to be fiction. Like Resident Evil is supposed to be.
I guess this is their idea of a warm welcome.
Like they are, like there is something the game should be a fantasy, like a fantasy game about like hey, like it's not, it should be, right? And that's like the thing. It should be something that's beyond the weird, huh?
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. So, you know, like corporate toxicity, whatever you want to call it, kind of just sucks, right? Like corporations, like another thing, like corporations, like a legit, like corporations being evil is kind of like a thing, like inherent with them, right? I feel like the real like. Like, no, they inherently are corporations because the entire point of capitalism, right, is still laissez-faire, right? Like, you have a free market. You don't have a free market with corporatism. And the reason why I say that, right? So corporate, right, the corporate world, right? They buy something and then they don't let anyone else buy it. Because the entire point is expansion, right? That's not really the point of like your mom and pop shop, right? And you know, with innovation and stuff, right? Fine. But so like the way to say it, right?
Firing again.
Let's take corporate, maybe corporate.
All right.
Corporate field.
That went well.
Movies, right?
I'll have a warning next
What
time.
have movies innovated since they've been corporatized? What have games innovated since they've been corporatized, right? Like, the thing is, right, we talk about AAA gaming sucking, but then, like, and we're like, oh, it used to be so much better. It also used to not be AAA, right? The standards of AAA back then are, like, small indie game budgets of today, right? So, like, going by that, right? AAA has never been good because what we defined as AAA back then was just like John Carmack and 4 other dudes smoking weed and getting high while making a game.
Job well done.
Like,
Deserves
you know what I
payment.
mean? Like
Kind.
that
Well
wasn't
done.
like that's
Thank
not
you.
what anyone reasonable thinks AAA is for good reason. Because like, what is AAA about that? You know? What's big budget about that?
Easy work.
Nothing.
Come
And why
back
would you
anytime.
expect that to be, you know? But like that's the thing, like that's what people think of when they hear the word AAA is like a massive budget. But back then it didn't mean that. It meant like, hey, you have like you have like a good game. Like AAA back in the day meant good game. Right? Now it means big ass like that's like beyond like the scope of a movie. You have $1 billion budget games. And like I'm like, what? Why are you saying like I can understand like some games, right? Like live services that I mean understand World of Warcraft and I guess like Minecraft, right? But everything else, there's $1 billion budget games, right? I'm like, why is this so much fun? Like another thing, to be fair, is
Leon.
Got cocky for a
people
second.
tend to be like overly zealous and hateful of everyone, right? So like a big argument, right, is like that you'll hear, right, is like that like the Trains developer of who did the soundtrack of Minecraft made Minecraft bad or some shit. I'm like, no. Like objectively not. Like you can say Notch did a lot of good shit too, but like saying that the soundtrack sucked.
Okay.
Like, what the fuck are people on? Right? The soundtrack is awesome in Minecraft, you know. But like it goes down to that like some people just want to hate on people because you know it's like, oh, we can't let trans people have of any kind, right? And like that's really like what I feel like a lot of Trump derangement syndrome is. Isn't even like people actually disagree with Trump. It's that we can't let his side have any dubs. And like it's, you know, the reverse happens as well. And like that basically just leads to everyone being at each other's throats and sucking each other's dicks off of the other, you know? Like stop it. You know what I mean? Like, stop it. Like, there is no, like, I'm gonna be honest, there is no real, like, legit right and left, right? You know what there is? Single ideas that are aligned more with the left or right. No one is completely left or right. There is no such thing. Because anyone who defines it, like, they have to define it, like, weirdly, right? Like, right means religious conservatism. It means adherence to traditional religious values, right? So like libertarians are inherently not that, right? And then left wing means like like adherence to like it means progression from tradition and also adherence to
What was that?
That's what it's supposed to mean, right? That's what it meant when our country was founded. Because that's another thing, like the left and right dynamic really only exists in like you know, Republican and like Republican really, systems, right? It doesn't really exist in democracy, and you know, they're like, so save for the Roman Republic and before America, there was just Rome, really, right? Like republics aren't really like that like popular, right? And like the thing is that like right, like monarchy is a conservative position. Republican, but like also like what Republican does instead of religious. So you can still have religious traditions without right? But then again, the king was also a religious tradition, right? Because that's why we had kings. We didn't have kings because like the king was the head of the church, right? Like the Pope, it was a king. The Pope was like the king. That's what it was, right? Keep like trying to aim, like, that's the thing with like the Gyarados. Like as soon as I get a good shot on him and his actual tentacle ass back, he's dead. And it's just like, you know, sometimes it takes a bit to get that good shot. But yeah. Otherwise, you know, anyway, like my thing, right, is, you know, it doesn't legitimately really matter much, with like, really I feel like that's the thing. It's like no one wants to be like, admit that another person that they disagree with has a dub, right? But then that just causes more L's for your side. Like, let's just face it, right? There are many strong dubs. There are a few there are a few Biden dubs. Who the fuck cares, right? I'm willing to admit that
We're right
some
about the
people
animals,
I
though.
disagree with on politics on a lot of things have dub positions, right? Because like legitimately that doesn't affect me. You know? Like I'm like, okay, they have positions
You okay?
that aren't completely insane.
I'm fine.
You know, they have positions that are, and fuck those, right? But then like that's the thing. I'm being reasonable. I'm saying specifically fuck the positions that are bad instead of, you know, fuck them for having positions that are good, right? And so because of that, you know, I don't like that. But you know, I'll be like, yeah, some people just have some dubs that might not like agree with, but they like you might not agree with that person, but like can you at least agree that this perfectly reasonable position you have that you also have, unless it's, you know, also, you know, had by someone you dislike in politics, right? Can you agree that the thing you already agree with is not like a terrible like thing? It just won't, right? You know? It just won't like admit that, yeah, you know what, we've got like some things we agree with. And the reason why is it feels like, but if I give them the dub, right? Because they're more worried about their opposition taking a dub or something than they are being correct on something that they already agreed with. Because that's the real meaning. Is a lot of the people who are like overly critical of Trump are changing their values and positions
Only a couple of uses
against
for it.
what they were to criticize Trump. like you know what I mean? Like that's really like the legit meat and potatoes of a lot of these things. People are changing their positions and values. They're changing their minds completely on them because they don't want someone that they barely disagree with to have a perceived W from the general public. And it doesn't do anything but make you have a big L. It doesn't matter which side it is, right? Like another thing, right, is like the whole like transphobic femboys thing. Like trans means any defiance of gender norms, right? That's really what transgender means.
You just circled around.
People want it to mean so many things. It means that you defy gender norms, right? What does a femboy inherently do? You know? Like, yeah, you're not like the specific form of trans. Yeah, absolutely. Not every trans person is the same. Congratulations.
Don't even think about
You
trying
don't have
this
to cut
yourself.
your dick off to be a trans woman. Right? You don't have to identify as a woman to be trans, right? Like, trans means that you defy gender norms. Guess what? Buddy. If you, right? If you, like, you're, like, if you have...
Leon, are you kidding me? Jumping across chandeliers, seriously, who does that?
If you, like...
What are you, my mother?
Like, if you, sorry. If you, like, have certain positions, right? Like, if you have certain positions, and then in order to, you know, criticize your opposition, you have to, like, change your positions, then they aren't even your opposition, right? And it's the same thing, like, my point of, like, femboys or trans, right, is, like, the definition of transgender, right?
My point isn't to say like they're the same as like, you know, the fucking Twitter addicted
this guy
morons, right? My point is you're defying gender norms. That is what transgenderism is. You know, like that's what the word actually means. Like that's why like you have that meme of like Oda Konoko and all like those other things, like, and then like you have like the umbrella term, like the leftist saying it's just transgender. Like that is how it works, right? Like you're like, but it's an umbrella. Like yeah, umbrella terms exist for everything. Congratulations, you're figuring out how language works, right? Believe it or not, right? What an umbrella term means is that you're categorizing things together that have some differences, but ultimately have some similarities, right? So anything that defies gender norms of society is transgender, right? That's what the word means, right? Now, if you go on like fucking like weird porn sites, shitty porn sites, you might find something else. But that's the thing, right? Porn sites don't define the terms. Porn sites like use them because people find things certain like defined as hot, right? Like so yeah. If you look at Futanari and Femboys,
the
you're looking at
entertainment.
transgender porn. Congratulations. That's how that works. It's not the same as like you know if you look up Futanari, it's not the same as Shemale. It's not the same. You know what I mean? Like there are different
One death.
but that's the thing, right? You have different terms for things that have a similar concept, right? It's almost as if, like, you know, language is an ever-evolving thing, and then some people decide to categorize those things as evil, right? Now, to be fair, fuck the guy who categorized this one, right? But the umbrella term is still useful, right?
Shit!
I mean, like, eventually it's like,
Body
I'm
armor's
using
not looking
the
great.
word because it has use. I'm not using the word because I like it, right? Oh, yeah, like another thing, right? Fucking Charles Darwin was a pedophile. Isaac Newton was a Satanist. I don't agree with either of those. Right? But, you know, like, yeah, something crazy like that. Everyone, like, brings it up like that. Have you seen what his theology was? You might not want to say that, you know? You might not want to say that, Ray Comfort, because if you actually know his philosophy on it, you might be like, holy shit, I should have never fucking promoted this guy. He legit, like, did not in any Christian, like, in any definition of Christian. You know what type of Christian he guys? He's Charles Manson. Yeah, Charles Manson, the literal, like, satanic, like, yeah, let's, he ran a fucking suicide cult. Yeah, that's the Christian, like, that's the Christian that I don't know if I would support that guy as, like, being involved in, like, this. Okay, yeah, like, he wasn't an atheist. I don't really see the point of, okay, he's not an atheist, and he's you know, like, yeah, I know he's not an atheist, I also know what he believes, and I know that like, you don't fucking want him to be on your side, like, pretend he's on your side with beliefs. Like, I get it, you know, he's not an atheist, he's also not a Christian. Like, yeah, anyone who's, like, talking about, like, metals giving them magic powers from, you know, the bird of Hermes, and how, like, if you combine certain metals with, and then into a liquid and then drink them, you'll just, like, become immortal and defy God. Yeah, that guy is totally a Christian, you know, like, the talking about defying God, God's
You're
will.
serious.
Yeah, that's what Christians do, right? Like, you know, I like talk about like how like you know I make jokes saying God is a retard for not understanding human nature. But, like that's like a joke, right? I'm insulting like you know my own beliefs. I'm a Christian. but I'll insult my own beliefs, like on like things I find so.
This
Right?
is gonna be bright.
I think that's fine. Like, yeah. God, like, come on, dude. Like, you were literally saying, like, you know, you think that humanity would just learn to just understand a little bit. Come on. You told them not to do something. You had to know that they would. Like, that's my, like, that was my argument, by the way. Like, that was, like, people legit had problems that I said, hey, if you tell someone not to do something, they want to do it more. And there are people who are livid on that take. I'm like, what is fucking wrong with that, though? That is legitimately how all of this has worked. You tell people to do something that the idea of not doing, to not do something, the idea of doing it becomes far more attractive to them. Why dare fucking suck? But yeah, let's tell people, like, say no to drugs, right? Why did we tell them to say no to drugs? Because it'll kill them, right? Well, we didn't kill them, so you know what they're going to do now? They're going to try heroin. But you told them that would kill them too. Now the difference is, heroin actually might kill them, right? Heroin is incredibly awful, right? And so, like, criticizing heroin is actually very much a thing that any normal society that works in. But the reason why that's the case is not because, oh, drugs are bad, okay? No.
Ashley! Shit!
Open up, open that. Yet, like, the problem with those guys is, like, in the original game, they just took up.
You okay?
They just had more health. These
I'm
ones,
fine.
you have, like, a resistance. So, you have to, it's a common thing with, like, a lot of, like, fake mouth.
We're not out of the woods yet.
Fights to be fake. But, like, you know, like the Toad things from Resident Evil 3 Remake also had it. The first boss in Silent Hill had it, you know? Like, honestly, like, I feel like the open maw equals weak thing is, like, just super, like, common nowadays. I mean, like, really, it's, like, one of the first bosses that, like, that was, like, really, like, a challenge. The Dongos, right? Like the first, like, real boss in Zelda is the Dongos. I know it's weird that that's the first real boss in the game. There's, like, there's, like, 4 bosses first. Yeah. Fucking Zelda 1. It's, like, really, like, Zelda, like, the only trouble with the actual, like, original OG Zelda, I feel like, you know, the angry video game nerd is the only one that can describe it. You know what the hardship of the original Zelda was? Where the fuck do I go?
It was one of those kinds of games. Where the fuck do I go games, right? Is what he called them. Alright, let's go up here.
Come on.
Got it.
You gonna be okay?
Yeah, I got this.
I'll cover you. Don't stop. Be careful.
I saved right before it, didn't I? Yeah, okay. Just gotta do the fucking wheel.
It's locked.
Yeah, okay. Let's go back to Mentiswave's video.
Mid-1900s Germany. But again, this is just the most common delusion that people suffering from TDS might come to, as a result of projecting the bad faith from Trump onto people who support Trump. There are several others though. For example, going back to Destiny, we can see his TDS manifesting at this stage in ways that are both dangerous and fallacious. For example, believing that Donald Trump unironically tried to overthrow the United States government on January 6th. Therefore, anybody who votes for Trump is a traitor, and therefore it's okay in his mind if they get shot. And the fault in this reasoning is that he's projecting his beliefs about Trump onto Trump supporters. It's kind of like if someone who believes in a very bizarre religious cult believes that the only reason someone would not want to join their cult is because they want to be a bad person. And the problem, of course, is that's based on how the cult believes.
To me, like, the thing is, like, when once they stormed the Capitol, that was the crime, right? You know, breaking windows and shit. But, like, that was mostly Destiny. That wasn't even mostly the right. That was just Destiny. And so, I mean, not Destiny, like Nick Fuentes, sorry. That was Nick Fuentes' crowd. Which, yeah, sure, some of Trump's crowd is Nick Fuentes' crowd. But Nick Fuentes isn't Trump, right? So, like, his audience, they overlap, absolutely. I don't think anyone will deny that. Okay? Like, cause, like, you know, just being a Republican will generally have, like, the right
Leon, they're here.
your side anyway.
The entertainment.
So, even though Trump is more of a moderated fucking way, that's the thing. Like, Trump is, but like he's not really. So, like, the thing is, right? You gotta remember, right? The left versus right thing is the edgy stuff, right? Edgy on the edginess is right wing. Is basically like what like the take is. Like, if you are willing to like make a joke about not vaguely Nazi is, you're right wing. Like, oh, that's not how that works. That works. I was growing up at it. But yeah, the not like to be fair, like that's another thing. Like, a lot of the people. That's really legitimately the left and right these days, because that's not what words mean, guys. You know? Shit. thing I do like about the remake is it's like this dumbest thing ever. It's like actually like, for me, it's like, hey, it buffed my profile a bit. Like now I'm like always rolling. Cause like in the original, right? Like this is technically a nerf that benefited me. Right? So technically, Leon is a little weaker because of this. But for me, like, like it's made me smarter with how I play. Effectively. So it's not really like it buffed me. I just got smarter.
Present for you.
But because
This should do the trick. So? Jesus, it's got teeth. All right.
so because of the way
You all right?
Yeah, no big deal.
like you know the game then like I don't really like straight load in because yeah I won't get ammo back when I upgrade to capacity. So now there's like no incentive for me holding you know holding my magazine towards the end of a chapter because I know the merchant's gonna let me upgrade that. You know, so right. So because of that, because you know, because I know a merchant, because I know seeing a merchant zone won't increase the ammo in my gun, and so in order to maximize the ammo, I have to keep it it doesn't
You're serious.
feel like that's like legit.
Next. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
But like
We're not out of the woods yet.
yeah, like, so for me, like I don't really care too much about like the whole like I must hate all my enemies or like every event that they ever done like that, right? Well, like Trump winning the presidency was obviously dumb, right? For him, right? And like people who voted for him. But like also like eliminating income tax.
like, you know, like, here's my, like, thing about income tax. Like, I'm libertarian, so obviously taxes like that, but, like, let's compare, like, taxes, right? So if we're going to say, like, a tax should be, like a deterrent from doing something, right? Like, it deters you from doing something the government doesn't want you to do, right? That's the entire point of taxes, that they are penalizing you for doing something they want you to do. So, right, bearing that, so the taxes that we're talking about, right, involve
Over here.
working,
Hey.
and you know, right? I don't know,
Gonna
like,
be
I
okay?
feel like you should
Yeah,
never
I got this.
incentivize working, like, at all, you know? So then, stop being fucking
Be careful!
okay.
Okay, get back here!
That's everyone there. Alright. My kill move. Alright, let's finish this up.
Views his religious beliefs rather than other people viewing his religious beliefs. The reason people don't want to be a part of his cult is because they don't believe his cult to be true. However, in the cultist's mind, he believes his cult to be true, and therefore his cult is the only way to be a good person, and so he's then projecting that belief onto others, assuming that their reason would also be that they don't want to be a good person, when in reality people just don't believe what he's saying is true. And Destiny doesn't realize he's committing the same reasoning error here. Most people who support Trump do not actually believe that he's trying to end the United States democracy. Most Trump supporters do not actually believe that Donald Trump was trying to overthrow the government on January 6th that day. So they're not actually voting for Trump because they want to overthrow the US government again. They vote for Trump because they genuinely believe that Trump is the better option. That's it. And so that's what a lot of people who've reached stage 3 of Trump derangement syndrome start to show signs of. They show signs of failing to understand that what other people believe and their reasons for believing certain things are not the same reasons that you have, that you would believe in those certain things. You cannot project your reasoning for why you would do something onto other people.
Like, here's the thing, like, I feel like this is a hard to swallow pill. A lot of the fucking people who voted for Trump are Bernie or busters, right? Literal communists voted for Trump to get back at fucking Kamala and Biden, right? Well, like, obviously that's not as like most of the voters either, but like it's mostly mainstream
Looks like the right
Republicans
place.
who just feel like they are disestablished by, you know, their own party, right? That's a big one, right? Not a whole that's not even that like a good way to say it, right? The people who voted for Trump, right, are extremely varied in their beliefs. I didn't vote for Trump, but I also just didn't vote, you know, because I didn't have a ID, right? So I couldn't actually vote. Where my state, they enforce that, you know.
a big thing. But the thing is, right, so here's a cool thing about states with voter ID, right? So to incentivize you to vote, but also to get your ID to vote, right? What happens is states that have voter ID laws will make it so if you say you're wanting to vote that year for your ID, they will just give it to you for free, whereas like other states it'll be like $20. Now you have to, it's only voting ID, which is a state ID, right? So it's a state ID that you get for free effectively, right? You still have to have all the paperwork and stuff, but that, you know how little paperwork ID is? Right? Can you prove that you were that you like were born here? Right? You have a birth certificate? Okay, you're good. Like, and then can you prove that you live in this state?
Having a rough day, stranger.
All right, so you're Gucci. Right? If you have, like, you have to have
got some rare
like
things
extra
on
documentation
sale,
if you
stranger.
want like the ability to access.
This is
public
what I'm
ID,
talking
right?
about.
But like that's
Fine.
kind of about it, right?
Gun will look great with that attached.
Yeah, let's
Easy work.
gun the shirt.
It doesn't get any better than that. It's a veritable work crossing your T's. Don't get yourself killed now.
So we should make sure is that okay, yeah. Storage. Store. Alright, so let's see. Matilda. That's the thing. Matilda's good. Gee. Bolt thrower, Matilda, or hand cannon. So the thing is, like, the hand, well, actually the primal knife, because then I won't have to worry about the knives anymore. Let's do the primal knife next. Actually, put this away. I really only need that for Krauser anyway, to be honest.
Welcome.
Sell, I'm gonna sell this.
Ruby, a deal well struck.
Okay.
Got a selection dazzled, are you? Our craftsmanship demands. Come. Back. Anytime.
It's been like my go-to like combo. Getting rifle ammo. Anyway, so I just feel like most people don't really give a flying fuck about politics at all, unless it's like, can I afford shit? And who's offering me the ability to afford shit? That's most voters, right? 90% of voters, that's their mindset.
This is messed up.
Can I afford shit? Okay, I'll vote for you again, right? Can I not afford shit? Okay, I'm gonna vote for the other guy because he's different. That's like legitimately like most people's mindset when it comes to voting. It's the basic. Can they physically
Sorry to interrupt.
afford, you know?
My head.
Can they physically afford it? And to have
Sorry.
yeah, they might. But like that's like the mindset.
Next.
Like the mindset is never that might be like a couple things, right? But like a good way to say it, right? I like saw like we have like these fucking shit about stuff. Like yeah, there's probably like a couple like but it's not my guy, people then don't vote like this because people aren't on Twitter all the time. They're like everyone like is like talking about like always like that's not how people vote. You know, go to a fucking bar and talk to people. And people have legitimate grievances with the way society's run. And that's it. You know? There's no like, oh, they voted because they want to piss you off.
how the fuck, like, petty and dumb do you think people are? Yeah, like, maybe, like, people will risk, like, some if they think they can survive it, and that's it. Right? There'll be, like, a small amount of pettiness there with some people. But, like, we're talking about, like, the majority of the population is just voting another way, you know? Don't be a fucking retard. Like, no, the majority of people are voting because, hey, my wallet is empty. I can't really do a proper vote with my wallet because it's empty. Hey, do you promise changes from the system? No, I wouldn't change a thing. Okay, we're not going to vote for you because my wallet is empty. And I don't like my wallet being empty. So I want to vote for the guy who doesn't say my wallet will be empty. And so, like, that's the mindset of the majority of, like, voters who voted for Trump. My wallet is empty right now. I can't afford things. My house is, like, too expensive. Hey, my taxes are too high. Hey, you know, hey, like, you know, but you know what they never say? Man, fuck that, like, trans person who, like, said, like, something stupid, like, 10 years ago. No one fucking cares. You know, like, you want to know what, like, people might, like, make passing jokes about trans people, and that's kind of it, right? Really, like, the thing is, transphobia, like, it exists, right? I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. I'm not going to be like, oh, transphobia is stupid. It's like, how do you fear someone you think is beneath you? Like, dog, if you didn't fear, like, you didn't have any sense of fear, then why the fuck are you talking like, oh yeah, we must dehumanize them? That's totally something you do with, like, people you just think are less, like, okay folks, right? Like, if you have to dehumanize someone who you disagree with online, you fear them, because, like, that's what that response is, right? That's hatred, and that's a form of fear. Yeah, it's like you're having precognitions about a person you don't know anything about. You know. All right. Yep. Boop. Right. Okay. Let's see. Boop. Boop. Yeah. Boop. Boop. Right, it's actually this one, right? And then boop. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to the Mentiswave.
People and assume that they would have the same reasoning because that's the reason you have. When you do that, you're engaging in solipsism. It's an invalid form of reasoning. It doesn't work. It doesn't hold up to scrutiny. You can easily demonstrate it to be false with just things like the Sally Ann test. So, for instance, Sally has her ball, and then Sally goes away, and then somebody else hides her ball somewhere else than where it was when she put it. When Sally comes back, will she first check where the ball was hidden, or will she first check where she put it? And the answer is obviously that she will check where she last put it, because that's where she believes her ball to be. Someone who thinks that she would first check where they saw the ball hidden shows a lack of theory of mind. It shows that they don't understand that other people have thoughts and beliefs about reality that are different than their thoughts and beliefs about reality due to experiencing reality from a different vantage point. And unfortunately, we see people suffering from stage 3 of TDS partaking in this type of invalid thought process all the time, not understanding that other people experience reality from a different vantage point is part of their disconnection from reality. So going away from Destiny, who's just a popular leftist streamer, just kind of going to the general idea of the matter. Another common one is people thinking that all Trump supporters are literally Newtsies through the application of the same invalid thought process. In their mind, Donald Trump is a Newtsie, therefore the only reason anybody would vote for him is because they want Newtsies to win, therefore all of his supporters are Newtsies. Again, this is solipsistic, invalid reasoning. And unfortunately at this stage of delusion, there's really not a whole lot you can do to help people suffering from TDS. This is kind of the terminal stage, you can say, of Trump derangement syndrome. Of course, it's not actually a terminal disease. It's just a mental disorder when someone allows their dislike of Donald Trump to reach a point where their seething hatred actually starts to cause them to disconnect from reality, and in some cases even disassociate entirely. And now that Trump is getting into his second term, we're going to see this kind of thing become a lot more common. For instance, very recently we saw Elon Musk's Newtsie salute, and there's very many ways that you can interpret that. A highly good faith interpretation of Elon Musk's little Roman salute gaffe is that he was just giving his heart to the people, as he was saying in his speech. Slightly more reasonable interpretation is that Elon Musk was just having a moment of the tism. Then moving into slightly less favorable interpretations, we move on to things that Elon Musk did it intentionally to troll people. He's not actually a newtsie, he was just making a Roman salute in order to annoy certain people. Or in other words, he did it for the lulz. It was all just engagement bait. He was baiting the media into covering it, baiting people into talking about it, perhaps coming from the mentality that no coverage is bad coverage. And then of course a less charitable interpretation is that Elon Musk is actually literally a newtsie. And then the more disconnected from reality interpretation is that Elon Musk's Roman salute is proof that the entire Trump administration and everybody who supports it is secretly a newtsie as well. That's very, very unlikely. Probably extraordinarily more unlikely than the most good faith interpretation of this particular event. Very much significantly more disconnected from reality. And also, unfortunately, probably what a lot of people suffering from TDS in the later stages thought of Elon Musk's little salute there. Especially if you search the echo chamber areas like Blue Sky or Reddit. For instance, here's a good case example. Good night, tech right. Hold a plug on AI Fushism. Or here's another example. This is really happening. Don't look away. And then of course we can't forget the example from Reddit politics. These people sincerely don't seem to realize that at absolute worst, Elon Musk is just making fun of them. They sincerely truly believe that this is actual real evidence that the entire Trump administration is secretly newtsies. And that's when you start to notice that perhaps one of the saddest side effects of this stage of Trump derangement syndrome is that it starts to prevent real criticism of Donald Trump from taking place. It's kind of ironic, really, because they're so disconnected from reality that they view everything Trump does and everything any of his supporters does, or anything any of his allies does, so they're always looking for evidence of newtsiism. There's always this constant confirmation bias, where everything about him has to be fushist. And so because of that, any genuine constructive criticism of Trump's administration and his methods end up kind of getting drowned out of the conversation, because there is definite genuine criticism of Donald Trump out there. There is pretty good evidence that his tariff strategy is going to result in higher prices, at least on the goods that he puts a tariff on that are primarily coming from other countries, or that Trump should instead just be focusing on generally lowering taxes. That would probably help the American consumer out a lot more and a lot faster than what he's currently doing. There might be a little of that.
Like that fucking one dude who like met random homeless people on the street or whatever, or like people who just don't give a fuck enough to think, right? That might also be like another thing. But like anyone who puts any genuine thought into it, right? Yeah, it's pretty obvious, you know, that's how that always worked, right? So yeah, the thing that always worked this way will continue to work the same way it always did. But like the only reason like it seemed like, oh, MAGA is so crazy, they think like, oh, they'll pay less. Like a couple people most people aren't even educated at all. And like, you know, like we've seen that like all the time. Right? It's not even like Trump or whatever, right? It's just, it's extremely common in general, right? You know what I mean? Like people, like the general electorate is fucking moronic. Everyone knows that. It's not new. You didn't like prove anything. Everyone knew that already. Oh yeah, it's things that was always true. Okay. And am I supposed to be impressed? Am I supposed to like, you know? Am I supposed to like think anything new or different because of that?
Next.
Shoot that down again. But yeah, it's just like really, who the fuck cares about like some of these things, you know? And then like other things, it's like, yeah, why don't you care? There's another thing, like it's either like, why do you care about this? It's not going to negatively affect you, or why don't you care about this too? It's actually very much negatively affecting you. Is like the majority of like actual like proper politics takes, you know? And it doesn't mean that you know, you have to view a lens of does this negatively affect me or not all the time, but it's a much healthier way to like, you know, view politics in general, right? Like you don't have to, but it's healthier to, you know, like does this negatively affect me?
No? What am I worried about? What am I worried about, you know? Like, if it doesn't actually negatively affect you in any way, why are you worried about it? Why do you care? Right? You aren't being negatively affected. These people aren't being negatively affected. Why do you care? And the answer is, they don't. Like, that's another thing. Like, I've noticed another, big thing. Like, once you start, questioning, the rhetoric of, someone who's delusional, they will just burn out into a sea of, I don't actually care. Well, if you don't actually care, then why the fuck doesn't matter if I disagree? If you don't care, right, then it doesn't matter that we disagree. But they will pretend that it does in the moment, because they want to be pissed off, right? Because you disagreed with them on the internet. It is such a fucking mental.
Another one. You guys are really starting to become a giant pain in my ass. Next.
That in Doge, but the focus is too broad. Trump still has this pragmatic tendency to use authoritarian solutions instead, and yet people suffering from late-stage TDS, they just view all of it as fascism. They have no willingness whatsoever to even consider that it's possible to work with Trump and get a better deal. Because again, in their mind, unfortunately as a result of their delusions, they just think that Trump is a Nazi and that the concentration camps are going to be started up any day now. And so they must resist anything Trump does, even if that includes resisting tax cuts. And so the solution to the Trump administration from the perspective of people suffering from TDS is to just resist and say no to anything Trump does. So for example, in cases where Trump does actually want to cut government regulation out, in the mind of the TDS sufferer, that is also Nazism. And so there's no real winning with these people. When Trump reduces the government, it's Nazism. When Trump increases the government, it's Nazism. When Trump just kind of stands there menacingly, it's Nazism. And that just brings us to the question of, well, how the heck do you treat these people? What treatment plan for TDS can there be if they're just completely disconnected at that stage? And the answer is that for stage 3, there really isn't much in terms of treatment. But there are treatment options for just TDS in general, which are more or less effective depending on which stage your TDS patient is at. The first treatment is to just point to Donald Trump's first term. When you take an objective look at Donald Trump's first term from 2016 to 2020, you realize that for all the blowharded actions and behavior from Trump, he was actually a very general Republican president. Trump on the podium is a strong man, but Trump in practice is just a 1980s, 1990s model. And so you just point out 2016 to 2020 and show that, hey, the concentration camps never occurred, there was no literal Nutsi death squad, the LGBTs did not lose their rights, and to be honest, the only thing that really has a lasting impact was the COVID pandemic, which wasn't actually Trump's fault. That was a global pandemic. Every country went through the same thing. And we know for a fact that the Democrats wouldn't have done a better job because Joe Biden took over in 2020.
I want to say this, my thing, right? Like I said, I think I said COVID basically made us suffer the consequences of surviving off slave labor again, like we did in the 1860s, right? Because my take of why we were suffering under COVID so much economically was that our society was based off an immoral foundation that only thrived off the hard unappreciated labor of dead, and I use it like the refer to it, right? And that's because we did, we survived off that. That's the other thing. I still say
I've had my
the
fill of
most
you guys.
unhinged racist fucking slurs. When the point is to dunk on people for thinking that's okay, right? If you treat people like shit as a crutch of the system that you rely on economically, it turns out that that's not okay, and that karma just has a way of preventing that from continuing after a bit. And so our society relied on their labor, right, that was unpaid, and they were in extremely unhealthy working conditions, right? And so guess what happened? A disease came along that made it so they could no longer do their fucking thing. Now, let's continue.
While the pandemic was still going on, and proceeded first job. So that's the first line of defense you can try to give people who suffer from TDS, is just point to Trump's first term as evidence that the doom camps are probably not coming in the second term. They will, of course, have
lithium miners and silicone miners were a lot of them are slaves, and so it's unpaid labor, right? Obviously. And I shouldn't have to explain to a left-wing person why relying on that societal
I can't believe that guy.
Okay? But apparently I do now. Apparently I have to tell a liberal, a left-leaning person, why conceptually slavery is a vile, evil practice that will only result in the full collapse of a society. I have to explain that to left-wing people. I shouldn't have to do that. That should just be okay. Yeah, we're left-wing. That's what we believe. That's the thing. Back when I was growing up, that's what left-wing meant. So really, I feel what was it? The left is eating itself is a good video. It was basically about how the left isn't even the fucking left anymore, by Rationality Rules, right? Because Rationality Rules is a critic of Trump as well, right? But the things he's critical of tend to be the more super religious indoctrination things of things that people say about it, right? Which I don't really feel is actually true to Trump. So why are you criticizing him for some of his followers? But yeah, I do get it, right? He had a cultish following of some.
The flag's been lowered.
Right. But I feel that's the thing. He did. I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not gonna be oh, it never happened. I saw evidence. Yeah, we all kind of did, right? That's not my thing, right? My thing is so it existed. I mean, it existed with Obama too. Was it? It exists, yeah. Was it a large percentage? probably not. Like, it was definitely the loudest percentage. But, like, you know, loud minorities have existed in movements all the fucking time. It's like the dawn of, you know, of movements. It's like, yeah, you got this loud, like, coldish minority that will follow you till the ends of the earth, but, like, you legitimately want to, like, shake them off because of how fucking insane they are. But you can. But, like, you do want to, but you legitimately cannot. Right? So, like, that's like what, like, the more cultish MAGA are, right? They're, like, no one wants that. It's not like Trump doesn't want that either, right? Why would you want that?
Easier this way.
But just because he doesn't really like want that kind of mindset in the movement doesn't mean, you know, that he's just gonna say, "Oh, hey, look, you know,
no sweat.
Don't be in my movement if you're gonna treat me like I'm your fucking like second coming of Christ, like shiz, you know." Like you usually don't want that, right? But you can't really get rid of it when it's happening. So it's like you're kind of just stuck with it, right? You can't really just get rid of it. It's gonna happen. So I don't even really know like the solution to that for anyone who has it happen to them. It's accidentally a cult, you know? But like that's the thing, like most cults are accidentally, you know? I just accidentally a cult, you know? I just accidentally a war. You know? Like first off, that's actually how like most of that even starts. Like I don't even feel like most people purposely want to start things, right? It's just like, hey, did I just accidentally a end of humanity, right? Is how I feel like a lot of it would go, right? I don't feel like anyone would just purposely, that's their goal once they get in power. Now, when they're not in power, absolutely. People who are unhinged, crazy lunatics, you know, it's not really like a side, you know, though. But otherwise, you know, there are unhinged, crazy lunatics, absolutely. I will not deny, like, objectively basic facts of reality to criticize the left, you know? I don't think I have to do that. But yeah. Now, my personal, like, real issue with Mentiswave is that, like, he says a lot of just, it's common sense, but, like, that means I'm not learning anything. Like, I've legitimately not learned a single thing this entire video. It's just, yeah, this is just common sense. Like, also, like, what is the use of common sense, really? Right? Yeah, everyone knows this. Okay, like, you're good at, you know?
Shit.
That's my, like, issue with it. It's like, what did I learn here?
Are you okay?
Yeah.
That's what I learned. I learned that I didn't learn.
Here, hold this down.
Hey.
Which, you know, is fine, whatever, right? I don't have to learn everything. I don't have to learn something every day. But
Be careful.
I feel like I kind of want to sometimes, you know? Like when I subscribe to a creator that's like supposed to be like something educational, right? And that's kind of the thing, right? Politics I should be like learning something new from a political channel, but I sometimes used to, right? Back in the day, I felt like I learned new things from politics channels, but I haven't in a while, right? But then again, it used to be like who is front and center,
Finally, get out of this maze.
Nowadays, I have no idea who Mentiswave is, you know? Like as a completely anonymous. You want to know who like the
Ashley, run!
okay.
I'll take care of him.
You okay?
Yeah, no sweat.
Nice shot.
Next.
Okay, there we go. Actually, anyway, so, yeah, get that.
I have some new goods that welcome. Got some rare things on a deal well struck.
Okay.
Try that on
Max
for size.
durability.
Stuck.
Let's see here. Get that. Okay, so. Okay.
Okay, it's welcome. Thank you. We're starting to get an idea of your
65 and
tastes,
then
friend.
100K, I guess.
Will that be a comeback anytime?
I mean, considering that like I'm about to get 100K soon too. Oh wait, yeah, so that's the other one. That's another thing. Like the next merchant's like literally right through here. Oh wait. Treasure room. That's why I went this way. Oh, idiot! I forgot why I even went this fucking direction. Like a couple nights I gotta fight. So, well, yeah, that's ultimately my thing. Like, what matters?
Come on.
Really, like, why
Okay.
do I like really care about like this? I don't really. I don't think I have the capability.
Okay.
Good work.
You all right?
Yeah, no big deal.
Okay.
I wonder how much that's worth.
Here. We got a bunch of spinners I can get here. Let's get 'em.
Not bad, right?
Thing there. Fuck it, I'll just go this whole way again. So there's a couple enemies that spawn here and there in these areas that don't really affect you that much, but yeah. And yeah, as soon as you start chapter 9 in like the base game, like you're not doing professional like that, or you're not in a second run like that, you get access to like the big upgrades. Now here, I don't have access.
Gonna
to
sell
it
that thing you got?
I have something I'd welcome.
Yeah,
I've
pay
got
battle.
something new, thank. Pleasant
Not bad.
travels.
Here.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just feel like people fucking just like a lot of political channels. It's like, okay, do you have common sense or not? All right, do you have common sense? Well, like if you have common sense, what do you learn from it? Nothing, right? And if you don't have common sense, what can you learn from anything, right? So it's like I feel like there's not like my problem with Mentiswave is just like why did like it's basically like the affirmation. There's just cognitive bias then. Like yeah, I know I'm right, but I don't, you know, like me knowing I'm right doesn't help anything. Like, I knew I was right before, right? I wouldn't think it if I didn't think it was right, you know, because that's the way it went with my thoughts. You know, because you can't, like, I always say, right? The idea of no one thinks they're wrong, right? Like, yeah, it's true. Because if you think you're wrong, then you don't think, right? Because if you think you're wrong, you think something else, right? No one thinks they're wrong. Because if they think they might have been wrong is like a healthy thing that people do, right? I was wrong, but now you showed me the way, right? No one legitimately thinks they are wrong because if you think you're wrong, you don't believe the thing, so you don't think it. You can't think you are wrong because thinking you are wrong is not thinking the thing you said you thought, okay? It is like the thing, right? Now, there are people, I call them abusers, who will try to say, well, you think you're wrong because you're wrong. Like, there are that's another thing. Like for me, like a real like problem too of like why like people like. Like the far left anyway. He's the far left. Like it's not really like in action nicer than the right. But production it is, right? And sometimes people just need a fucking like hug or something and like people are like treating that like idea as well we don't want to well you know what? You know what? That's why people said no to you. You know, like if you're saying someone just needs a hug, and you're like, well, fuck you. Okay, well, you know, then you are not being productive. You know, like sometimes, yeah, sometimes people need to be babysitted. You know why I know that? Because like that's the thing. Some people just legitimately have a shitty life, and you're not going to convince people who have had a legitimately shitty life. Of anything useful, right? By continuing to treat them like dog shit. It's not how like any meaningful conversation. Yeah, you deserve to be treated like shit. Okay, well, fuck you. I'm not listening to you. Like, that's not how it works. That's not always works. Who the fuck would listen to that shit? Why would I listen to that? You tell me I die for like the crime of existing. Okay, well, fuck you. Exactly. You know, like that's all that'll happen. Nothing productive can ever happen from that kind of conversation. And why would anyone expect it to? No, like legitimately, why would anyone expect hey, you are a horrendously awful person who should die because I don't like you, and you're wrong about this thing. You feel like you're an illusion and all that. What's the point of that conversation, right? What is the point of that? You are getting nothing productive then in that conversation. There's no point in having it, right? If your conversation is just to insult someone because you think they're wrong, then you're even wrong. It's like my thing, right? Like, eventually, like, it turns out, like, eventually you just have to treat, like, that you just have to acknowledge that some
must
people
be this way.
just are incorrect about some things. Incorrect about, you know? And that's okay.
I've got some new items
You
in.
know what else is okay?
Stuff.
The fact that the
Come
same
take a
thing
look.
happens with you. You know,
Welcome.
you'll be incorrect about
Got
something
some rare
that
things
they are
on
right
next
about,
time then.
right? And you know that's not like some creepy like existential thing. You shouldn't have to change anything about yourself, knowing that knowledge. Yeah, believe it or not. Well, you should believe it. It's like why the fuck?
Welcome.
Right?
Well,
but guess what? You don't know everything, and you cannot know everything, and you will never know everything
Look, there's a statue up there.
because it's not even possible for your little brain to handle everything. So, you know, the real like crux of like really like the problem with like political discussions in general is that if you open up that it's political, people don't want to listen to it. And so you won't have any productive conversations there. Right? And the reason why is legitimately because people have already poisoned the well. Right? Like, I feel like that's really what it is. It's like people poison the well
No thanks.
because of like the ideological like bullshit that is associated with politics anyway. So people don't want to listen to anyone
Leon!
who's like openly political.
Looks like we figured it out.
Openly talking about politics because it's not even that they will necessarily disagree in the end, right? If they listen, right? It's because you know they fear that conversation more than they fear like anything else, right? Like think about it, right? That conversation 99% of the time does not do anything productive for anyone. It can, it probably should, but it doesn't, you know? So that's what people are thinking when they have that conversation. Nothing productive can happen from this, so why am I putting this in this asset? Yeah. So that, like, that's what people think when they hear it. Alright. Last progress, yeah, there we go.
Leon, watch out!
Give me a break already. Shit! Que los vivos, one down. Que los muertos se consuman.
Like, I feel like that's really like the opposite of
You hurt?
like
I'm good, thanks.
really like the things that need to be discussed more than anything else with with you know, like politics on YouTube and stuff, right? Is there any like value in having that conversation with that person at this moment in time, right? And if the answer is yes, then have it and have at it, right? If the answer is not yes, why are you having it? Why are you wasting both of your times, right? And the answer, like oh, because they're wrong. It's like, okay, who cares? No, they're still wrong now because they didn't fucking listen. So who the fuck cares? Right? You just wasted your time and got mad at something wrong. Okay, well they're still wrong, but you're also mad at them. So like, what was the point in that? Well, I made fun of them. I insulted. Okay, so who the fuck cares? Like, you know. Like, you can insult anyone. What good does that do, right? What good does that? It made me feel. Okay, yeah, you made you feel better. You made them feel worse. Okay, yeah. So, like, you made someone feel worse, all right. But what value did you actually like create with that? Oh, nothing. Okay, yeah. There we go. That is the entire reason for having that conversation. None. You have just wasted time by having that conversation. Time that could have been spent doing something else. Yeah, like, I'm playing a game. I'm doing this to have fun, right? I'm talking about politics stuff, right? But I'm not really just talking about the politics stuff, you know? And that's one thing I'm doing. Sure. Absolutely.
Hey, Leon, there's some armor.
You know,
Bet you could use it like a
capable of
bulletproof
doing
vest.
multiple things at once.
Little old-fashioned from my taste.
You know, not everyone is. I am.
Too
so,
bad.
hey,
I think you'd look pretty
I'm
dashing.
gonna have at it. But while I have at it, I'm gonna like acknowledge that, you know, not everyone is just an unreasonable fucking douchebag because I disagree with me. You know, like that's just not a healthy mindset to have at all. Everyone who disagrees with me is unhinged. Like, I feel like that's like my issue with Asmongold. Like, some of his takes are pretty based, right? But like, I don't really care that much because he's just kind of an asshole.
Ashley, stay up there.
Okay, be careful.
I do kind of hate that like extra mindset you have, because like in the original game, right? You can have Ashley come with you. Yeah, it's not necessarily like ideal, but you can.
Leon, the armor.
Come on, you can't be serious. It's okay. Just stay safe. Go to hell, you rusty piece of shit!
wondering
Yeah.
why she wasn't coming down.
Nighty night. Nights. Spread out. On me.
Oh.
Hey. My hero. You sure you're all right? You're not burned, are you?
No. Thanks for your help. I really did the trick.
Wait, like, so, is politics, you know, right, like,
You don't think they're gonna move, do you?
discussion sometimes, absolutely, but I do feel like, you know, you do need to, like, know, like, what are you, like, what value does the conversation have, right? If it's just you get to insult someone who you like and that makes your feelings better, it makes you feel better, fuck you. Like, honestly, like, if you're
That's a
in a
request done and
conversation
dusted.
about, like, actual
I knew I
lives,
could count on you.
is,
I got
that
something new for you.
people
Anything else I
feel
can help you with?
bad, the people that you might not like will feel
This
bad.
will help you put them in
Fuck
for a
you,
bit
you're
of
wasting
rubbish
everyone's
collection.
time,
Don't get
you know?
yourself killed now.
Like, congratulations, you've made me sympathize for a leftist. You know, like, I feel like that's a good way to put it. You made me sympathize for the left. When you do that. And it's hard to do. Congratulations, you have a talent. I don't know if I would like that's my talent. If you know that was, like,
Welcome.
proven to be it.
Got some rare
You
things.
have an ability that not everyone has.
Thank you. You've exhausted a
Oh,
combat
that's right. It only
anytime.
costs 10K for like the actual like final bit of that. That's true. Forgot about that. You have infinite knife
You don't get carsick or anything, do you?
now. Granted, the fighting knife and the
Hey, this is
the
it.
main knife are better than the primal knife, like normally. Okay. Another thing is now that like how like the durability it is, right? So they like this. So like unless it breaks, which is unlikely, like an advantage I'll have with it, right? Is unless it breaks. Okay, first off, yep, bing, right, oh, bing, bang, boom, walk, bing, yeah, okay.
Oh,
It's the only
expect-
one where like multiple
Here.
colors is like more beneficial than just two of the same. Or two of the same.
Sorry. You okay?
Yeah. I'm fine.
The merchant right there. That's another cool thing about that. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Went the wrong way. Thankfully, there's only a few ways to deal with that anyway. There's that statue.
Got some new wares, stranger. You're in for a treat. Welcome. I got something new for you. Stranger. Ooh, I'll pay a pretty penny. That is a top-notch weapon. You're an easy wield it. What can I do you for?
Oh, I want.
Don't get yourself killed now.
Out. So let's see. I want to put that back. So we got the Punisher. Ooh, the Matilda. Right. That would be cool later. I'll do the hand cannon next. Probably like increase my chance of getting Magnum.
Welcome. I've got something new for you, mate.
So that.
You're out. Thank you.
Let's see.
Molding a weapon to suit your specific need. Try that on for size. There you are, as you wished. Come back any
Yeah. I don't really have to worry about like
time.
filling the ammo up, thankfully either. That's everything there. Get the last bit of this.
Reasons for why they think the camps are still coming. Fallacious reasons, of course. But the point is to just get that piece of evidence in their head so it can churn and work its ways. But in many ways, it's more of a preventative treatment. As once stage 2 is reached, this becomes fairly ineffective. An alternative treatment option is to just let the disease run its course. Time will continue to pass, and eventually it will be 2029, and the Newtsea death camps will have not occurred. So if you have some relatives who are suffering from TDS, one potential treatment is just wait it out. Just don't bother talking about Donald Trump with them, because you know that until Orange Man is gone, which he eventually will be, any mention of Trump to someone suffering from TDS is just going to reactivate the part of their brain where Trump currently lives rent-free, resulting in you having to deal with their manic episode. And so the offline treatment is just avoid mentioning Trump to them, because it's not really going to go well. There's no real point in mentioning it. It's not actually possible to prove to a delusional person that their delusions are not real, so don't bother. And as for treatment options on the internet, well, do whatever the heck you want, really, because honestly, TDS on the internet can be kind of entertaining. It's not fun to deal with it in person, but as long as it stays on the internet, TDS is effectively just a free comedy act. And therefore, no treatment is necessary. Just sit back and relax, because it's probably going to be a pretty crazy next 4 years. And that is really all I have to say on the matter, so that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you really enjoy my content, you can support me on Ko-Fi, Subscribestar, or by buying some merch. Again, that is all. Till next time.
Right? And it might be fun to interact with the bot too, to be fair, right? But the bot is not real, right? Like, I mean, it's like it's non-consequential, right? I feel like someone who is deranged in your actual life is, probably like just
so good.
probably like, less helpful in any direction, right? Because like you're just insulting someone you care about. Like that's not healthy or productive in any metric, right? It's like, yeah, like they're wrong, but you literally know that person, But like you're insulting someone you know because they're incorrect on a political question. But you also should know that most people are going to disagree with any political take you have in the first fucking place. Because it's politics, that's why like whenever someone says like something that in any way, even like the most mild, that's really what political really boils down to. People don't always like that's legit what it is.
None left.
Right? Like, some things shouldn't even be hot, that's what they are. And that's another like discussion to have. Like, why is it like that? Certain like things that like people view as basic human rights are a hot button topic. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are some things where it's like it's not really basic human rights, but you know, it seems like that on the surface, right? Like a lot of the trans stuff, right? Like a lot of like, you know, obviously the right to transition makes sense. Like if you can afford transitional surgery, right? And it will be helpful or beneficial to you or whatever, right? Why not? Like some people that just is a thing they need to do, right? Well, like it's very rare, right? That's the thing. It's very rare, but hey, look, if that's what they think it will make them better, and you know, if as long as you let them do the surgery, they'll be more productive in society and stuff. Why not? You know, like at that point, it's like, well, the purpose of mental health treatment in the first place is to make them productive. They're productive. Okay, like why? Why do I care? Like, you know, what does it matter that they're like thinking that because like that's my thing. Like, first off, are they right, or are you just an asshole? You know, like I get like they're not but like here's the thing, right? I'm just be honest. This is what really trans hinges on. Because honestly, a lot of people who argue against it are probably more delusional once you realize what it is. They're saying that because of the roles that they fit in with society, like how they dress and stuff, and because that's how we base a lot of our roles on like what sexes should and shouldn't do. Because that's how we're going to run things. You know, well, okay, I'm gonna not say no to that, but then I'm gonna, if you're gonna say I have to do these things as a man, and I'm not gonna want to do them, then fuck you, call me a woman, because I'm not gonna do them, right? Because that's really what it comes down to. Is, you know, there's still like a push for gender roles to be extremely rigid, and so because of that, there are people who just defy that, like just they want to defy that, and that's what transgenderism legitimately actually is. There is like a mental whatever component for some people. A large portion isn't even that. A large portion is just fuck you, I'll do what I want, right? Like, okay, you don't want, okay, if I don't have my you know, all these hormones and, you know, whatever, right? I must do what men do. In that case, I don't want to do what men do, right? But then it becomes an issue, like, when that becomes, like, men's sports, because women's sports are just men's sports with women in them, right? And the reason they're doing that, that's not, like, those demographics, like, the reason they're broken up that way is for completely different reasons than, like, why most things are, right? Like, there is actually, like, a good scientific reason to not have someone who is biologically male, you know, within the same, you know, sports category. Oh, what? Oh, this one, fish. Like within the same like sports bracket as a woman, right? So biological male and biological female are like good for like things where like it's physical, right? Right, so you're competing with people that you have an integral advantage of that is inherent to your biology. Not your identity, your biology, right? So, identity is one thing, but your identity isn't your biology, right? And that's why like we have like, weight brackets too, and like boxing and stuff. You know, like some people just shouldn't be competing with other people. Like you shouldn't have like even like a rookie featherweight is not going to beat a heavyweight champ. You know, it's just not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is because they're not strong enough to take them on. Like it turns out like you do need a certain level of strength to do that, right? And the amount of strength you need to have, right? Well, if you're a, you know, if you're a lightweight, right? It's gonna be like 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, this way. Whoop, 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 whoop. just don't need to worry about anything. Well, I'm actually now because Ashley is immortal, so like, why do I you can stab me? Come on. Fuck you and your bad actions. I'm gonna do something fun. I mean, it could, but you have to wait for another swing. And you do have a bit of a wind up, so it takes a little bit of a minute, you know? Alright, that's fine.
Get lost! Come on! Come on!
So, yeah, my thing is just like for me, politics, like,
Thank God.
what are we like
am
really
done with
concerned
her.
about? You know, with that, unless it's like you have
Didn't I just say I
a
was
legit
done?
like you can contribute. I actually do view like Mentiswave like thinking a large portion of that actually helps. Like, yeah, don't like actually try to think from it. Because like what's the fucking point? Like, you know, that's your family. You know, if it's someone online, you know, maybe and because you know that might be still a real person. Also might not be. Have at it for that as well. But if they're a real person, you know, that's not the only real issue there is that cancel culture taking the workplace. Right? Like, once that happens, you know, maybe stop them entirely. Because, like, you know, obviously, like, if it hurts a family member because you're being an asshole about it, even though you want to be, like, you just want them to, like, be, like, less unhealthy with their beliefs, it's still not really productive. Then there's, you know, the other one where, like, if it's online, there's a potential that they will just fucking take your job away, and that's not good, right? So, like, my thing is really, honestly, like, really focus on engaging, because a large portion of them aren't even fucking real people, a lot of them are fucking bots, you know? And that's my thing. Like, another thing is, like, with me, like, I will, like, pretend to have a lot of things, like, TDS and shit, because I think it's funny. Like, I think it's funny to LARP as, like, some of the most mentally ill people on the planet. Like, that doesn't mean I like Trump, but, like, acting like it's an insane hatred. Same with, like, Elon Musk, too. It's fun. Right? Like it is insanely more entertaining to be a fucking unhinged hater than, like, just some, you know, hinged normal. You know? Yeah, I'm just going for the guns upgraded a lot better. No? Yeah, because of the cannon, I'll definitely have, once that's fully upgraded, I'll definitely have, like, a good, gun to, like, dispel, like, normal enemies and shit with, at least. And then, like, lost rifle. Handgun because cross yeah, the sniper rifle in this game is the best, right? Like, you don't really use the shotguns because they don't do enough damage per shot. That's like, you do use the shotguns on normal enemies, usually to push them
Ashley,
in a
are you all right?
out off of your
Yeah.
pass in the S+ runs.
Give me a sec, I'll get you out.
But you still use them, right? Regardless in all runs, right? You still use the default shotgun, usually. Just because it's a good, you know, a good, get them the fuck off of my back thing. Anyway, because of that, I'm going to save, right, and I'm going to end this video. Because, you know, the thing I was talking about is over.